Damn, I just realized you can see the lighting in the background a little bit through the mirror. That looks a little schlocky. But anyways, what's up guys? It's Johnny Candido of Candido Training HQ. Today's video, we are going to go the bench press, 405, 4 plates. But before we do that, since like 80% of a YouTube video is the thumbnail, the content is basically irrelevant, let's take a moment to get a thumbnail done properly. So I'll be back. Did I hit it? Well, let's put a big arrow to the weights, just in case you missed the 4. Okay, let's pick this together. I think this one's too simple. That one's just a little too wordy. Okay, I think this one's perfect. Look, as I'm setting this up, notice how he has the shade right on his head perfectly. He has a very low surface area to work with. Uh-oh.
Personal record.
Yes, sir.
Hey guys, what should I bench next?
395 right now. 395.
Okay. That pause was a little short, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sucked.
Should I redo it or leave it alone?
Retake it. You gotta retake it. Retake that shit.
Okay.
Should I retake it again?
To be fair, that was actually going up. I think you should try that again. That was a pretty good effort, you know?
Okay. When the clock strikes midnight, that means it's time to bench 405. Today, I will be trying a 4-plate bench press. This has been my goal since I started lifting. Listen to that. 4 plates, 4 plates. I think that's a sign. God's talking to me. 385. 3, 2, 1. And then 405. Oh, dang it! Ah, so close, wasn't it? I'm going to go over what I'm going to do now moving forward. First of all, to bench press 405, I'm going to not bench press 405. I'm going to just move on. And this is a really important lesson since I know a lot of you guys are in situations like this, where you miss a lift, it's really close, so what do you do next? I find actually just setting a completely different goal is better. So my next goal is to bench 391 pounds in a competition in the USAPL. Now the reason for that is that would be a 7.5 kilo PR. And I do see the competition bench press as basically a different animal than a gym bench because you're holding the weight out. Of course, the pause is longer. I would say it's around a half second to 1 full second sometimes. And then you press up, and then you have to hold it at the top. Like, these things sound like nothing, but of course, experienced lifters know. A lot of guys honestly have benched 405, and then in the meets, they bench like 363. Like, if you look up some names for 369 around that area, there are a lot of guys who are in that position. So that's going to be the focus now moving forward, is I'm going to extend the pause duration. I'm actually running a 2-second pause bench cycle now. Then that's going to lead into a longer pause, USAPL style, 385 to 390. And then I'm going to sign up for a meet and hopefully hit that 391. Maybe 396 at the absolute most. And again, this is totally different than if I looked at my sticking point, was like, okay, so I missed it halfway up, so maybe I should work on some chest exercises or work on my triceps, I'm not sure which. And then also I slid on the bench a little bit, so maybe I should get an A7 shirt on next time because I was shirtless. which maybe it was a real factor. But the thing you have to think is, if I gained a little bit of weight, got sloppier in my technique, and then pushed 405 up, does that even change my strength? Does that even change the odds of me hitting 390 to 403 pounds, let's say, in a meet setting? Does that even change that? Like, no, it doesn't matter if you force something in the gym. Now, one tangible change I will make to my training, and this is what I talk about over and over again, is rerunning cycles. And I'll actually have a full video on how I program for myself and really go elaborate more on that. One thing that I did that I probably pushed to the extreme was very, very low intensity. So that's actually one of my styles, is I add only 5 pounds to the top end single work, and then I add more to the rep work. And basically, eventually it deforms the cycle to the point where I'm doing 360 for my top set, but then I'm doing a double or a triple with 350. And then once that deforms to that point where it's too condensed, then typically I reach that point where I miss my goal or I just am not strong enough. And then I reset it. So actually, when I benched 395, because I was expecting only 385, that cycle, I only benched 360. And that's something I'll just extend to you guys as a general principle, is whatever you're uniquely good at and you benefit a lot from, is push it to its absolute limit. And then once you get on this run, eventually, of course, we all hit that end point, then reset and mix in some of the norms that you know within the sport with what you were seeing from your own adaptations. So again, to be specific, I'm doing the 2-second pause cycle where my goal is just 365. That's good enough for me. And then I am experimenting a little bit, because you want to experiment just a little bit without changing much else. So I'm actually experimenting with touch and go bench for 20 to 15 reps on a lot of different slots instead of feet up bench, where feet up bench I hit 315 for 5 going into my 395 cycle. So here I'm going to experiment with, okay, getting away from that, because I milked that for what it's worth. I actually did not hit 320 for 5 in the 405 cycle. So it honestly made sense. Like, I went to it just a little bit too much. Now I'm backing out. I hit 275 for 15 touch and go. Went really well. So leading into the peak of a normal pause bench cycle where I'm trying to hit that 390, I'm going to actually try to hit 315 for 12 touch and go. And I think I might be able to actually hit that at like RPE 8.5 to have 1 to 2 reps in the tank. So if I have a potential 315 for 13 to 14, that will be a really good stimulus, and I'll be pushing things in just a different way. To clarify, when I reset, I move from experimental to experienced, rather than general strength to specificity. This may sound like the same thing, but it's not. So a good example is touch and go reps for 12 to 20 is something I have never done in this context. It doesn't mean it's any less specific than feet up bench. So I'm probably, if anything, more specific now doing the touch and go, but I've just never seen the effects of it. So it's moved to the off season. Whereas if I valued general strength right now, I would move to close grip bench. But that's not really experimental at all. I've done that for countless years, and it has never transferred well to my competition bench press. So I'd do that. It would feel like the right thing, but just be spinning my wheels and making no gains. And I think that's really what separates lifters who continually progress versus those who kind of flatline on YouTube and online just in general, is those who flatline, it's like they reset and they almost forget all the knowledge that they just gained on themselves from looking at their personal history over the past 10 plus years. The past 2 years, I've made better progress on my bench than I did 6 years ago. Literally, like I'm actually picking up steam. I'm sure some of you who follow the channel saw when I benched 320 to 325, and I benched 325, I think, for an entire year, and actually benched 320 the next year. So it did not budge at all. And now my conservative goal is plus 7.5 kilos from the Arnold, which was plus 5 kilos for my previous meet. So now it's completely moving in the opposite direction, largely because I do make these small changes one at a time. And when it runs over, I accept it's over and I move on. So to wrap up this video is I'm going to make a few changes with this 2-second pause bench, the touch and go work. I'm still going to be benching 5 to 6 times a week. One of the things that's really helped my bench too that I haven't emphasized that much is the J-hooks being very shallow. That honestly has changed this past year and a half of bench progress completely versus the past where I used deeper hooks in the bench press. I would even say the Rogue rack is honestly better than a competition bench in my experience as far as unracking it and staying tight. And it's also very important, regardless of how you handle a plateau, to be very explicit on your hierarchy of goals. My most important goal is totaling 1,700 in a meet. And if I'm able to bench 391, add that with my squat and my deadlift, I'm looking at a potential 1730 total, which I would be extremely happy with. So again, it's like, with this stuff, it's, you want to set yourself up for success. You want to make it so unlikely for you to fail. And of course, the irony of this all is the moment you push something away, it's often easier to get. I remember I missed 385. That was the last time I bench stalled. And then I stopped worrying about it completely, focused on my competition bench, hit 375 very quickly, very smoothly. And after that, then my gym lifts just started skyrocketing because I completely forgot about trying to hit 390 at that time. So that's what I'm going to do again with 405. And I honestly think I'll probably bench 415 plus before I turn 29. And I think it'll just come to me. So that's the important thing, is be like a Buddhist, detach, let it flow to you. Let it flow through your chakras. Let's bring it. Okay, I'm done. Anyways, make sure to like the video, support the channel, subscribe if you can't. Damn. Anyways, make sure to like the video, support the channel. I will bench 405 on this channel. Follow this channel if you want to see me bench 4 plates, baby. Make sure to like the video, support the channel, subscribe if you haven't already. Peace.
The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, who comes short again and again.
I did it! I'm 5 pounds away from a 400-pound bench press. Will you subscribe?